panned out for the side of Infamous, and of course, that was in response to Celeste. I mean, Castro is in a very good place right now in the meta, whether or not you play her Crystal or just Weapon. I mean, the siege potential of Castro is just insane. We do see a Vox being picked up. It's looking like a rather similar comp as to the first game, because they have the Initiator, they have Catherine, and of course they have the same Vox as well. In response to that, we do see an Idris and of course Ataka being picked up. So far, I really like the team comp coming out from the side of Infamous, just because they decided to go for that Idris, and Idris counters Vox in the later part of the game.
Yeah, this is actually one of Infamous' most comfortable pick, where they choose Idris and Ataka. And I would love to see, I think they have been like practicing one of the combos where Idris goes into Taka and Taka just X-Retsu in, and Idris comes up and they just finish off everyone or whoever they engage in. But talking about hard engage, we have a Baptiste on Impunity side, and we all know that Baptiste is a great pick against composition that dives in really hard because of Baptiste's ultimate, and that really negates it. But it will come down to SNK. If he managed to crucible the ultimate coming up from Baptiste, then that dive engagement is still very real, still very dangerous, and still something to be worried about for Team Impunity.
Definitely. I mean, hard engage comms. The side of Infamous decides to go for that double assassin comm with that Idris and of course Ataka. For a lot of people who do not know, Idris is actually counted as an assassin, if I'm not wrong. Mark me if I'm wrong, but I personally think that Idris is actually, I personally remember that Idris is an assassin. So I know a lot of people go like, but then you play Idris in lane. Who says you can't play an assassin in lane, right? But anyways, back to the draft itself, we do see a Baptiste, and it's one of the rare moments we do see Baptiste. And Baptiste plays so well into the team comm coming out from the side of Infamous. Like you said, he can stop a lot of hard engages and even dive comms just because of Fearsome Shade alone. And on top of that, Ordain is something that people, or rather the side of Infamous, has to worry about, whether or not you block the Ordain or the silence coming out from Catherine. Because honestly, there are two AoE very big ultimates coming out from Impunity. We have Blast Tremor on Catherine, and on top of that, we have Fearsome Shade coming out from Baptiste as well. Both of these ultimates are very, very big in this game, and on top of that, they can initiate with Wait For It on Vox that has got a 1 point something, I think it's 0 point something silence time, and with that, they can chain the Blast Tremor, and then of course into Fearsome Shade. So if you cannot time your Crucible right, then that would be a big problem. I mean, even if you do time your Crucible right, you can probably block out Blast Tremor, you could probably block out Wait For It, but then it's going to be difficult to block out Fearsome Shade because of how it is shaped. It is in the shape of Celeste's ult, yeah? So you might block it out for yourself, but then probably not for your teammates. But then at the end of the day, if they can surprise attack, we have the Arcane Passage, we have the Bright Bulwark, and we have Shimmer Strike, and of course, Retsu and Kaiten on Taka that will facilitate their dive. What do you think? Whose money are you on? I mean, just look at the team comp alone.
Well, there's a lot of things to say about here, because that from team composition itself, I will put my money on actually Team Infamous. Like you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of things to block with Crucible, but the problem is that if the Crucible is timed right, that you can actually negate all three ultimate if they would actually chain their ultimate, and that can spell disaster for the entire team of Team Impunity. Unless Team Impunity can really see into baiting the Crucible out, then that would be a different story. But the problem here is that you're looking at an engagement which is just a front engagement from Infamous into Impunity, and all three of them are exposed to the ultimate. But what happens if Infamous come from all three different directions? Then your ultimates will have then you will have problems planning out how to throw down your ultimates, because you only have to decide to hit one or to wait to hit three. But is waiting too dangerous for the entire team engagement, because it's an entire team of assassins. So it's going to be difficult for Team Impunity. And even with the disadvantage in the draft for the previous patch, in a previous match, in my opinion, Infamous still pulled through. So with a more solid draft, I'm putting my money on Infamous.
Definitely. And of course, with that, and of course, talking about this game with me, we had the most amazing I Request a Duo. I Request a Duo, just a quick question. Who's your money on?
Oh, well, this time it is looking like, for me, I would have to give it to Infamous. And, as Rubber Monkey explained before, if they are able to get that engage correctly, and if the ultimates don't get blocked out, then Infamous have a very good time. Of course, there will be the fearsome shade to disengage from that, but there's the fearsome shade and the silences coming out. The silences being the blast tremor and the wait for it from Quarter War and Def Q, but they all take up a bit of challenging time. And so if Infamous are quick enough, and we've seen it before, and this is the fact that, when you've got that Lyra on the team, you have that arcane passage into the Bright Bulwark, and it's just such a strong engage a lot of the time if played well, that they can really force a team fight in your direction, which we see them going in now. SNK trying to use the Bright Bulwark to catch them out. Def Q getting low, and you see Uni getting caught in that Ordain, just staying around, doesn't want to go to the edge and get stunned, and is able to back out of that one. But for me, it is definitely my money's on Infamous for this game.
Well, yeah, and I must agree with my analyst, Rubber Monkey, and of course, my caster, I Request a Duo. I do agree as well. I mean, Infamous just looks so much stronger. Granted, they have got a lot of CCs and a lot of crowd controls to consider coming into this game, going up against Impunity. I mean, they've got double silencers, they've got double stun. In fact, if you consider Ordain as a form of stun, if you walk to the edge, and of course, they have fearsome shade to worry about. But if the side of Infamous do come in from all three sides, and that would maybe spell trouble for the side of Impunity. But at the end of the day, we did see, like Rubber Monkey said, although the team comp did favor, or draft did favor the side of Impunity in the previous game, it was just down to macro plays coming out from the side of Infamous that won them that game. And so a lot of times, So macro plays and micro plays, both are equally important. Like all analysts would agree with me, Blue Sea is going up to lane, maybe looking for a gank, but then Ordain didn't quite drop out yet. So like I said earlier on, Impunity has got good micro plays, but then when it comes down to macro, you must really give it over to the side of Infamous. I mean, they did win the game with less than superior team comp and team draft.
Yeah, and that was due to, I think, the fact that they knew how to play that team comp. And both these teams, don't get me wrong, will have such experience in this game and in this pro league that they know how to play their team comps that they go for. I just think that, as you pointed out, at the moment, Infamous look like they're stronger. There is the CC to keep in mind on the side of Impunity that you mentioned, but Infamous just have a stronger engage comp, and a lot of the time that's what wins. As we see Taka going invisible with Lukaku, there's going to be the Bright Bulwark forward. They ain't going to keep him there, and that's actually a good combo to see coming out of the side of Impunity when the Ordain keeps them trapped, and then Vox kind of has an easy time to just run around and land resonance bounces. So I'd like to see a bit more of that going through. Impunity could have some engage here if they manage to catch them out with, say, Ordained and Merciless Pursuit, and later on when they get these silences. However, it will be tough for the side of Impunity, and I think the fact that they're already down 1-0 on a fight where rarely they had the team comp. However, Infamous just played their double weapon power team comp amazingly, and as Rubber Monkey said before, they had to bring out their A game, and I think that's what both these teams are doing here today, to fight for that finals place for Split 2.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the final place. If they do win this, they will be going up against ASN Esports for the finals. And then, of course, Atreus do miss that view.
And there's going to be the Bright Bulwark coming out, and the fearsome shade, and this is what I meant, could play out well for Impunity, as you see Vox able to bounce around, get a kill there. Actually, the first blood of the game going over to the side of Impunity now, and they have the man advantage, but however, not the minion advantage. It's that one low minion shall fall to the turret. And let's have a moment of silence for him. And that moment is over.
we do see DevQ is really comfortable on this box as well, just knowing when to push lane. But then, of course, we can't discount the fact that Spaghetti on that Idris, you really just need your Shipper Strike. Oh, they are going in for another team fight. DevQ was taken very low in that team fight in that tiny skirmish, but then they are just going to back up. Uni is in the jungle and might be caught out. Uni might be going down. Uni is very low. Uni is dead. Okay, so it's either my mic is broken again or iRequest's mic is broken again, but then I'll just continue talking. iRequest, are you back?
I just figured that, you know, Uni was in a bad spot, and yeah, I don't like Taka. I'm a Sky main. Of course I don't like Taka. He's gonna die in that situation. But you do see the pressure coming out from Impunity in the lane. They're all gonna go back to base now. Good call from whoever decided that one, because we now see the Shatterglass and Tension Bow coming out. Shatterglass obviously being picked up on the Batiste, and the Tension Bow followed along with the already Poison Shiv for DevQ on that box. So what are you thinking about the itemization so far? I mean, fairly standard. We have seen, you know, you want the sustain on that box, but as well to have, you mentioned how Tension Bow is kind of common nowadays.
Yep, definitely. I mean, Tension Bow is just very good in this current meta, especially just the armor pierce itself. You know, and especially Infamous is putting up so much pressure in lane. They are just going on and on. Ooh, Ezreal do go in.
And there's going to be, a very nice Shroud Step to get out of there, or Shimmer Strike, I should say. And it's going to be Taka going back in with the Kaku, finding his way onto box, but it's going to get locked down by the Merciless Pursuit. But it's going to be the Silence, and it's going to do massive work for them as Blue Sea is able to clean up a kill. And they're going to follow through with the portal. Not going to find the kill onto SNK, however, as they get to the safety of their Imperial Sigil. But to get at least a kill out there and turn it around. Although Impunity kind of engaging these team fights, there's a bit more reactionary play by the side of Infamous there for Taka to try go back in onto the box. And I don't believe, was that kill that happened there the one onto box as they secured it?
Yeah, that was onto Vox with that, was it? Yeah, it was onto Vox. It was a return kill onto Vox. The first pickup was actually Spaghetti. Oh, sorry. The first pickup was DevQ, and then a return kill was on Spaghetti on that Idris. So, honestly, like, we are seeing how Impunity's team comp is panning out. They have a lot of CCs, and the side of Infamous has just got no answer to that CC. And even if they've got high dive comp, they are worried about Blue City as well. And Empowered Batiste is just so very scary, and there is no denying that, Blue City is going in.
And the problem we see here is Taka jumping in, does get locked down and silenced, and then killed while in the fearsome shade. And Vox, you can see Olver meanwhile being able to have free reign with the resonance bounces. Surprisingly enough, he didn't go for early breaking point, which might have helped out in these situations as well. But I think they are looking for the burst and confirm kills on, I guess, a sustained team like the Lyra and the Taka. So in that sense, it isn't a bad idea, but I would like to see a breaking point at some time being picked up on DevQ, just because of the amount of resonance bounces he's able to get off during those engages when they are able to lock down the enemy team.
Well, I mean, the breaking point usually comes as a third item for usual boxes, because Poison Shift you pick up first just to out-sustain the other laner. And of course, oh god,
it's just getting destroyed there. Does manage to get the turret, however, so first objective of the game going over to the side of Infamous. You see Impunity looking for more now. They're probably looking for that return turret as they push this minion wave in. And you just see Boadane. He does manage to dodge out that and gets out the stun. I think the silence missed him just, but he's not going to go back in there anytime soon. And Impunity picking up a return turret. Currently, the lead in kills, 5 kills on the side of Impunity and 1 on the side of Infamous. However, the goal lead is ever so slightly in favor of Infamous at 23.5k, and the objectives are even. And it's once again these teams playing it so evenly. Wouldn't you agree? It's going to be a close match, if anything.
definitely. I mean, I'm not surprised if it comes down to a game of 3 because of how even both of these teams are playing. And there's one thing though, we do see Vox going in for a lot of fights, but then another fight is happening yet again.
Oh, actually, this time Lyra getting caught out there, and Taka now left to have free reign. This fight could go a different way because Idris as well was able to get some damage down, but it looks like Taka won't be able to escape from this one just yet. There's going to be the flare coming out, and DefQ should be able to pick up his kill for the double, and they have the ace minions to push on through. They might even be able to find a turret with this one, but instead are going to turn their attention to the gold mine.
You know, honestly, I really think that the side of Infamous, they should lock down DefQ ASAP because Ordain's cooldown are rather long as with Fearsome Shade as well. So I don't see a reason really just to take down Blue City as fast, especially when Blue City is not empowered at all. They should prioritize DefQ first because DefQ has got the sustained damage. He can stay in a fight for a very long time, and on top of that, he has already picked up that breaking point. That will make him a little more scary if you allow him to be unchecked. And then, of course, you have Blue City on that Batiste, not yet done with that broken myth. So, you know, you can't quite leave him unchecked for a little bit. Or even just split target when Spaghetti go on top of DefQ. And, of course, Uni tries to get down or burst down Blue City as fast as possible. They can't just quite all go into one target. Problem with that is that if you do, then the other one will just burst it out.
And you see Taka making the initial jump onto Blue City. They are able to find the kill this time, however, but it's going to be Idris going low and he gets taken down by Vox. And this time it's going to be DefQ with 12 stacks on that breaking point. He surely can fight off Uni at the moment. And whoa, no, like flagged out, and Uni came flying back to pick up the kill there. But you can see the danger of it, of leaving Vox unchecked, as you mentioned. So they need to be careful about that one. I'm not sure about Uni playing around here. He does have the Kaku to get the health back up. He might be able to pick up a kill because Stormguard isn't up just yet, and there's going to be the bleed to pick that one up. Taka going to be able to, I think, pick up at least 2 of those kills in that fight. And Idris was able to do a lot of damage. The problem is that on paper, we looked at Infamous's team and we were like, they have a good dive and sustain comp. However, I think they're just really being put in place by Impunity for the most part, in terms of Impunity making very good use of that combined CC. You see whenever Blue City uses Ordained, there's going to be Court of War there with the Merciless Pursuit to stun them down. And then it also just provides that zoning that you have. Maybe not so much for Taka because there are situations where if he's able to Kaiten over someone or X-Retsu, he's going to be able to dodge that out.
Well, yeah, definitely. I must agree with you, but there is one thing we must note, though. It's just an immense amount of CCs, and like it's back to my old point. We see DefQ just being in the fights for so long, building up 12 stacks, 16 stacks of breaking point, and at a point in time, there is really nothing to wear DefQ down. I really hope.
Well, we're going to quickly see another fight engagement. It's going to be the wait for coming up from Vox being the main target from Spaghetti, as well as Taka, who's jumping back into the fight once more. And they're now going to target Blue City, who's trying his best to survive in there. But you're not going to out-sustain Infamous. And it's a... I don't know how to call these fights because it's not going to go one way or the other. I mean, it's not going to go... The whole match is not going to go in one team's favor because we've seen both these teams, they come back one fight after the other and just turn it around.
I must say, though, that was a very good fight coming out from the side of Infamous, only because they managed to burst, or not even burst Vox out. DefQ was in there for so long. But, you know, they did target DefQ down. Oh, Quad 4 is there for the silence.
And it's going to be another engage coming out this time. Impunity, the one being the aggressors here. Infamous having to be on the run, but Taka going to jump back in there. No one's checking him right now, and Spaghetti just right up in that face is able to take down the Vox, looking for the Batiste. And we could just see the power spike that Infamous have hit, and it is immense. They just happened to go into this. I think before the CC was enough to kind of open up an opportunity where Infamous didn't have the damage to kind of contest the fight, but Infamous now just turning it around, and you can see now taking back Kraken really quickly at 15 minutes 55 in, and they're going to be already pushing down onto the anchor turret of the side of Impunity.
Yeah, we do see Uni going in for the
Uni.
anchor turret.
He's going to dive in there. I don't know if he's going to get caught out. There's Vikaku. There's no flares on either of them because Catherine isn't around to help. You can see Catherine actually with the contraption as well as 5 flares. This is how much they know that they can't let this Taka get away, and they need to lock down Taka. But it's become to the point where they are so focused on the initial dive in from Taka that no one takes out Spaghetti, and he's just up there in the front line having a ball at the moment. And we might see a similar fight break out as Infamous make their way up to the base. Cordova going to go in with a stun, but leaving Vox alone at the moment. Does turn around with the silence of the Blast Tremor, but we see Blue Zeddy on that back line, not close enough to his team to help DefQ out, but DefQ going to try to do what he can as he builds up his break foot stacks, but it's going to get mounted by the Idris and Taka, and it looks like Infamous are going to just push this one in. They might be able to win it. It's only Blue Zeddy left, and half a Kraken. 3 members of Infamous. What can Blue Zeddy do? Can he get the triple? Can he make the plays? I don't know. There's a pause for some reason. But that's going to go away in a second, and Kraken is low, so is Blue Zeddy. Idris going to pick up the kill. No one on Infamous going to die, and that's going to be the game going over to Infamous, scoring that one 2-0, and they are going to be moving into the finals against ASN Esports.
They are indeed. I mean, that was really good play coming out from the side of Infamous. And honestly, if you think about it, in the early part of the game, Impunity had it all set in stone for them. They have the merciless pursuit for the CC. They have Ordained just to keep the dives in check. And of course, they have Blast Tremor and Fearsome Shade.